everybody, welcome back to That Fiction Life. Today we shall be doing a book haul. If you have seen my bookshelf tour, you will recognise some of these books because they have been integrated into my shelves, which I will link below if you'd like to see what resides here. But not all of them were there. If you are new to my channel, we talk about books, movies and TV shows. So if you are in any kind of fandom, I would love to have you join the ranks. But without further ado, let's dive right in. The first book that I have to show you is The Unspoken Name by A.K. Larkwood. And I cannot even explain how perfect this book sounds for me, because first of all, it is adult fantasy, and that is something that I'm trying to get more into. I do of course adore young adults still. However, I think I'm getting to a point where I also want to read about characters more closer to my age. We follow a priestess who becomes an assassin. I mean, the back generally says priestess, assassin, traitor, and I'm here for it. And the biggest thing that I love about this book is the fact that it features queer main characters. Now here's the thing. A lot of the LGBTQ plus books that I'm seeing are contemporaries, and I don't tend to read contemporaries. So to finally find a book that has fantasy and it has assassins and fighting and wars and magic, as well as being really diverse, I'm so excited about it. The next book is a sequel slash companion that I've been waiting for years to publish. That is One of Us Is Next by Karen McManus. This is the art copy, so the final book will of course have Karen's signature cover look. You all know I loved One of Us Is Next. It's a story that's sort of like The Breakfast Club meets murder. You have 5 people that go into detention and only 4 survive, and throughout the story we're kind of trying to figure out what happened to this person. This is the sequel, but it's featuring different characters, so it's technically more of a companion, but of course our original characters are making appearances, and it's just the nostalgia. I've started reading this, I have yet to finish it. This story particularly follows Bronwyn's sister and her friends, and Bronwyn was one of the characters from One of Us Is Lying, and everyone starts getting these really cryptic texts from someone at the school who claims to have gossip about everyone, and the only way for the gossip to not come out is to play truth or dare. So this person is kind of suggesting that you should pick dare every single time, otherwise your deepest, darkest secrets will come out for all the world to know. The next book is probably my favourite contemporary of all time. I can't wait to start raving about this book more. You know, me and contemporaries have a complicated relationship, but this book, Jackpot by Nick Stone, is one of the most enlightening, educational, romantic, feels-worthy book that I've ever read. We follow this girl who works at this convenience store, and she sells to someone on Christmas Eve what she believes to be a multi-million-dollar lottery ticket, and she spends much of the book looking for this person. I can't tell you how floored I was by the plot twist in this. I genuinely had some kind of fangirl meltdown. I scared my puppy half to death because she was sleeping in my bed. It was a whole ordeal. So as well as all of that fun stuff going on an adventure, this book was very, very emotional for me to read because it's an Own Voices book. So it really puts an emphasis on race and class. And it also highlights a really harsh reality of healthcare in America. I mean, that was absolutely horrifying. I just found it really, really informative, and reading from Riko's perspective about how she feels she's seen by the world because of what she looks like. I mean, it just really, really made me emotional, and it's an incredible, incredible book in that aspect as well. It gave me so many feels. I love these characters so much, and Nick is an incredibly talented writer. The next book I am so thrilled to have for my collection, even if I haven't finished reading, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. There is a snake on the cover. Look! This is an adult book. I do need to say that because a lot of people assumed that because it's a Leigh Bardugo book, who is known for primarily writing young adult, this is not that. The premise of this is really exciting because I have a somewhat little obsession with secret societies and things that go on in the underworld. And here we follow one of the Yale secret societies, but it has a fantasy element. And the Ninth House is somewhat tasked with policing some of the secret societies. And there's a whole hidden world in this book, and it just sounds so atmospheric. Another book that I can't believe hasn't been in a book haul yet, The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. This even has a review on my channel already, where I dressed up as a vampire and just genuinely freaked out that vampires are back in literature. It's set in New Orleans in the 1870s, I think. Yes, I think it's 1872. Yes, it is. And we follow Celine, who is on a ship on her way to America to escape her past life. And she kind of enters this dangerous world. And this is a very low-key vampire book. And I think that's something people were not expecting. This doesn't really have an emphasis on vampires. You know that they're there, but the story primarily follows Celine being somewhat the subject and the new obsession of this serial killer that seems to be going around the city. It's so stunning. You get these costumes and you get these really glamorous people in the court of lions that kind of rule the city a little bit. I have a whole book talk on it, so I will link that down below because I could talk about this book for 2 hours. Renee is such a good romance writer as well, so this will give you so many angsty feels. This is another book that also has a whole massive 25-minute review on it. The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. It's the final book in the Folk of the Air series, which pains my soul. So if you haven't heard of this series before, I won't talk about this book because it's the final one, but I will link my reading vlog for it down below if you're a fan and want to read along with me. But in this series, we follow Jude, who lives in the fire world, but she herself is human, and she's kind of trying to navigate her way in a world surrounded by supernatural beings. Jude herself is a little bit of a devious main character as well. She's very morally grey, which I love. Then we have The Toll by Neil Shusterman, the final book in the Scythe trilogy. This series blew my mind because I'm not very used to reading utopian settings. I don't think anyone is, because most books just tend to start with a very dark world and very dystopian, futuristic, where the world is already corrupt. Whereas in Scythe, we follow a pretty perfect world. Everything has been conquered. People are immortal because humanity has found a way to beat death. But of course populations still have to be controlled, so these people called scythes pretty much kill off or glean people. And the final book wraps everything up and it turns a little bit more dystopian than the whole series. Of course, a perfect system like that will have flaws, so this series kind of showcases just because you think you've conquered absolutely everything, it can all come crashing down. This book really reminded me of The 100, you know, the CW TV show. Not in any way to do with the plot, but just the feeling of it. The next thing is not a book, and it is a comic, which I don't really talk about a lot, but I do really love reading comics and graphic novels. This is an Angel comic who is one of Buffy the Vampire Slayer's love interest. I did not just buy this because of the cover. I have no idea what this is about, like genuinely nothing. I just saw it and bought it. It's got vampires and Angel and stuff, so I can't wait to read this if I ever just feel like a quick read. The next book, you are all going to be so proud of me. Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. So, if you are not aware, this is being adapted by Netflix. The cast was announced a few months ago, and I was just really intrigued because the fandom sort of came out on the internet and started talking a lot of spoilers and things about the series, and I heard some little things about the plotline, and I thought it was the perfect time to actually get into it because I was just really interested. I tried to read Six of Crows first, and I could not for the life of me get into it. And some people have told me it's because I didn't have the history with the series. So I thought this was the perfect way to kind of see if Leigh Bardugo books are for me, particularly the Grishaverse books. This book follows Alina, who goes to her country's sort of magical military. I'm just very excited to meet this Darkling fella because everyone seems so obsessed with him. And yes, I do know who it is because you can't escape that kind of spoiler. I think I'm going to have to do a reading vlog on this. Then we have Love Boat Taipei by Abigail Hin Wen, and I am so excited because this really gives me American Royals vibes for some reason. It is a contemporary. Who am I becoming? I adore when characters get plucked out of their kind of mundane everyday lives and they get put somewhere where they don't really know how to adapt. Ava is kind of used to a very strict life. So when her parents ship her off to Taiwan for the summer, she's just not used to that kind of freedom. And I cannot wait to read what goes on in this because I am imagining scandals and drama and I'm here for it. The next book I picked up at the Penguin Christmas party and it is Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. This is the TV show cover, so you know we have David Tennant. I love David Tennant, he's my favourite Doctor. So this is sort of a good versus evil story and the apocalypse is coming and it just sounds really, really exciting. I haven't read it before, but I do really want to watch the show. So the fact that I now have the book I think is perfect timing so I can read it and then watch the show straight after. Then we have The Good Hawk by Joseph Elliott. This is another journey book and you know I love when two characters have to take some kind of terrifying, dangerous task on. This has a character which has Down syndrome, which is of course really important to show all sorts of diversity in books. This book also has forgotten magic. This just sounds like a really, really unique story and I cannot wait to read it. Then we have And the Stars Were Burning Brightly by Danielle Yawando. This book has such a moving story and it has a massive suicide trigger warning. So if you don't want to hear more about it, I would click off this video for your own safety. This book follows Nathan, who learns that his brother has taken his own life and he starts to wonder why, because he had seemingly the perfect life. This book kind of follows Nathan's journey of his life pretty much falling apart and it's such an important book. And I've heard people that have read this were absolutely crying their eyes out the whole time. So this is definitely an emotional tearjerker of a book. The next book I have is The Foundling by Stacey Halls. This book is set in Georgian London, which is such a gorgeous setting. And it's really inspired by the Foundling Museum in London, which used to take in orphans, but primarily women that couldn't take care of their children. And the story follows this woman who leaves her baby girl there and later returns to get her back, but learns that she has already been claimed by someone pretending to be the mother. And Stacey is a really mysterious writer. If you have read The Familiars, she has a very eerie and sort of gothic style to her writing, so I'm really excited to get into this. The final book is Cold Storage by David Coep, who worked on the Jurassic Park films, and this is his debut book. So this bioterror operative is sent to investigate this biochemical attack that supposedly happened in this area, but what he discovers is that it's a sort of organism that can end humanity. So he contains it and puts it into cold storage, but now it's kind of finding its way out into the world. So this one night, him and the security guards working at the facility kind of find themselves trying to save the world in one day, and it sounds hella exciting and really reminds me of V-Wars, the new Netflix show with Ian Somerhalder, because that also has like a vampire epidemic happening. This isn't about vampires, but just the general storyline kind of reminds me of it. So those are all the books that I've gotten in the last couple of months. I hope you enjoyed this book haul. What have you been buying and getting recently? Do let me know. So thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel, and I shall see you next time. Bye!